How do you even pick, out of all of your children, 10 to keep for life? I got a lot of kids.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neve. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be picking 10 of my favorite children, basically. Which ones would I keep for life? Niche edition. So definitely going to be some of the ones that when I look at, I'm like, nah, I can't live without these, man. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button, and I'm going to drop one of my favorite fragrances. These are all favorite fragrances, so I'm just going to drop one of these on you guys. It's Safari Extreme by Oud Precieux. Leather, saffron, raspberry, and a lot more fruits and florals. It's an African bakhur or African incense style take on that whole leather saffron DNA. Tuscan leather vibes? No, not really, but it will put you in that vein in terms of that whole combination, the leather, saffron, and raspberry, having a lot more going on in this. There are some unisex aspects, so confident men vibes only, basically, but other than that, as it starts to dry down, the oud starts to become a little bit more prevalent and prominent, and it's not one that you can easily get into right away. This is like the cream of the crop when it comes to that style of DNA. Smells exotic, smells like $1,000,000, and in terms of the longevity and performance, it's gonna last all day on clothing, but the projection is more of an aura. Somebody has to get close to you, but that's generally speaking what you want out of a more sophisticated and exuding of class style fragrance, which is exactly what this one does. It smells like a gold brick. Not nearly as metallic as something like that, but you get the idea. It smells like money, man. You're walking around with a bunch of, well, I wouldn't say gold chains. I guess you got like your little lion, you know, walking behind you. This is the fragrance that you would basically, you know, be rocking. It's those guys that, you know, have lions as like house pet. This is it. Occasions, royal vibes, period. Moving on to the next one. One of my favorite also is Black Phantom by Kilian. Gourmand aspects, this dark chocolate almond. Some people get this peanut butter vibe. I can see it. Maybe that's why I love it. But nevertheless, this is something that will give you that melted dark chocolate, chopped up almonds in that dark chocolate. Smells amazing, you guys. Intoxicating, sophisticated, but also mature and polarizing. It's not going to be for everybody, but I personally love the fragrance. And in terms of the performance, it lasts all day on clothing. Also another one where they have to come a little bit closer than something even like Safari Extreme. I'm not mad at it. Anytime I come up close, this is more like a, you know, I would say a little bit more elevated than a skin set, maybe about 6 inches, but other than that, it's phenomenal. In terms of the occasion, this is a lot more versatile in terms of the seasons. Like, I've rocked it even during spring nights and it's worked. I've even rocked it in summer nights and it's worked. It might not be for everybody, but it's worked for me. I will say, however, it's more of like a close encounter seduction style of fragrance. Nevertheless, it will definitely do the best during the winter and the fall, but where you want, when you want. I wouldn't really say that this one is more appropriate for the daytime. You're not really gonna get more of the fragrance than you would if you wore it in the more appropriate nighttime, basically. So occasions, dates, basically. At the price points, these are all niche fragrances. I'm gonna keep prices out of it, but what I will do is help you guys with a few links down in the description for authentic and some of the lowest prices where you can get all of these. Once upon a time, these Middle Eastern fragrance, niche fragrances at least, were either overpriced online or you couldn't even find it. But nowadays, fortunately, I've been busting my ass trying to get these people to A, lower their prices, and B, make them more affordable and available in the States, and that's exactly what these are, at least now. Moving on to the next one, this is called Alqui Blend by Oud Precieux. I have to admit, this was not my cup of tea initially. It smells like old school Arab money, basically. It's got like this very intensive, in-your-face lemon and natural ambergris style of DNA. The ambergris is salty. There is this oceanic vibe to it, along with this intensive, punchy lemon and lily of the valley, giving it this floral and clean aspect, but also having a raunchy addition of incensey oud. So a lot of aspects to the fragrance, definitely. And for me, initially, I was just like, this, whoa. Yeah, basically. But then, after some time, I was actually craving this bad boy, and I've been rocking it. Yeah, I've been loving this fragrance, actually. I personally rocked it during the summer, the spring, the fall, the winter. I feel like because it's so punchy, it'll work best for a lot of people, not for me, during the winter and the fall. However, I will say that I got most enjoyment out of the warmer weather, seriously. It has the intensive nature to, you know, really be a weather-appropriate fragrance, but it has those oceanic and salty aspects that suit the bill for the summertime, basically. If you're confident, you don't have a problem with it, this is absolutely one that I'm gonna keep for life, basically. In terms of the performance, nuclear, just nuclear. It's like you're walking around the beach with one of those mabkharas, basically, one of those incense holders, basically. You're walking around the beach. Who the hell is gonna do this ever? I have no idea, but you're walking around the beach with an incense holder. It's that different, man. There's nothing that I could like actually photorealistic. Like, imagine natural salty ambergris and then maybe some lemons, and then on top of that, you've got some oud burning, and that's pretty much it, basically. It's like the people who take their hookahs on the beach. Kind of like, wait, what? Yeah, well, in Dubai, I guess that's normal, but in the West, no, it doesn't happen. So in terms of the occasion, royalty, very similar to Safari Extreme, simple as that. Moving on to the next one, a little bit simpler, a little bit easier to get into for those of you that aren't into polarizing fragrances. Altair. I'm absolutely gonna keep this in my collection because of that. You can layer this, you can wear it on its own, it's relatively unisex, leaning masculine because of that cinnamon spice. But you guys, I mean, the compliments on this one is enough for me to like, it's not going anywhere, period. And even if there are fragrances that do it essentially better, that's gonna be opinionated, right? Because that would be when I think it's better. I would still have this in my collection because it's one of my first, although a very familiar style DNA, one of the first punchy ones that really just, it's some next level, man. The orange flower also does get a lot of attention, I find, in a lot of fragrances from women specifically. It gives us a nice citrusy, floral, soft undertone touch to it that does magic when it's projecting. In terms of the performance, it projects for like 4 to 5 hours, man. I mean, 4 to 5 hours, this is absolutely worth the money for sure. In terms of the occasion, signature scent. Signature scent, dress it up, dress it down, literally everywhere. And it's simple as that. In terms of the price, like I said, I'll put the links down in the description. But retail, would I buy it at retail? Honestly, if that was all that there is, if there was only retail, yes, I would buy it. If there was only retail. Moving on to the next one. This is another one that I love from Arabian Oud, and it's called a Seed Special Edition. Also polarizing, not going to be for everybody, but if you like orange flower and orange blossom, that attention-grabbing compliment galore, no, this has a lot of that as well. But what it also has a lot of is a hefty dose of rose and caramel. So more unisex, slightly feminine aspects to it, along with a hefty dose of saffron rather than cinnamon. Vanilla, saffron, caramel, and also going to be that, what was that note that I said? Oh yeah, the African orange flower, basically. I think that's more specific to that. So no, these aren't necessarily close, but it's in a vein or family of fragrances, right? This one having a bit more of that cinnamon, ambroxan, this one having a bit more of that caramel and rose, still projects like a beast, and it has those royal vibes that you get common with these other saffron style fragrances. I love this. It's gonna stay in my collection, and it's absolutely not redundant to have both of these, and that's pretty much it. They have big differences between this and that fragrance. The only similarity is its backbone structure of the combination of sweetness and orange flower. That's it, and that's not saying much. In terms of the accords and challenge and what you're getting, this is a lot more challenging, actually. Moving on to the next one, another Arabian Oud, and this is called Sultani. This does that aromatic, musky, woody style backbone DNA that a lot of these Arabian fragrances are utilizing as a signature. It's kind of like the proprietary blend, except this one adds a little bit of this crisp berries at the top. It's pretty attention grabbing. It has a fresh aspect, it has a woody aspect, an aromatic aspect, and everything else that a lot of the other ones that do this DNA does, and pretty much the middle ground. And for that reason, it does it absolutely the best. And we're talking about fragrances like Amiri, we're talking about like Diwan, etc. I personally love Diwan, I genuinely do, and this is the only one that I would place this above that. And the difference is the Diwan has a bit more vanilla, basically. It's this musk trying to recreate a more authentic style musk that's known or signature in the East that this one also does. Woody, aromatic, musky, with a couple of different aspects like the crisp berries, the peppers, and also some florals like freesia, also giving it a softer nature, so it's not just this harsh spiced fragrance by any means. That freesia really gives it this cooling vibe as well, making this a very easy signature scent. But it's not just easy, it's also very expensive smelling. A great fragrance that you can smell expensive with and not offensive with either. Ultimately, what this has is like this Middle Eastern luxury fabric softener vibe. That's essentially what I get from this one. And yes, you could say you might slightly get it in some of the other ones, but not as much as in this one because of some of those florals in the mid. Rose, lily of the valley, and lily of the valley, generally speaking, is responsible for a more soapy nuance and freesia. This would be like the fabric softener of the DNA. Amiri would be the fresher, a little bit more cedarwood style, woody version of the DNA. And Diwan would be like their more musky, vanillic style of the DNA. And this one, because of that versatility of the whole fabric softener that you don't get with all of the other ones, is why I place this as keep for life. It's just so versatile while still having some of those other aspects. It still has that musk, it still has a little bit of that vanilla, and it also has a little bit of that cedar wood. So the best and the middle grounds of all worlds, basically. Arabian Oud Sultani also performs. It gives me a solid 10+ hours on clothing, and on skin I would say about 6 hours. And like I said, my skin, generally speaking, doesn't really do that well with fragrances. I lotion up sometimes. Occasions, signature scent, period. $1,000,000 signature scent. Take this to the office, you'll get compliments nonstop. And price range for this, please be careful not to buy them overpriced. Check the links down in the description. If I I don't have a link down in the description, then I don't really have much sources, and I'm sorry. Otherwise, for the most part, you will find these down in the description. Moving on to the next one, this is called Oud Elite Ghali. Now, this is very challenging and polarizing, and it might not be for everybody. There are some similarities just in one aspect of the whole musk and woody aromatic nature that I was mentioning, that's signature in the Middle East. Woody, musky, aromatic with a lot of ambers and Indian oud. This is animalistic, but it's amazing. High quality smelling Indian, authentic smelling Indian oud, and it smells like $1,000,000. It utilizes that signature Middle Eastern woody aromatic DNA that we were talking about, just simply adding the whole amber and Indian oud. If you like authentic Indian style oud, this is one that it smells like royalty, man. I would personally wear that for like weddings, special events, etc. I have rocked this one on a daily, like I have to test my fragrances every day, you guys. And almost every day I go to the gym. I wore it to the gym. I got compliments even at the gym. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend you wear it to the gym, but just saying. This got me compliments, got me attention. You have to be confident, and it projects beast mode, man. Next level beast mode. Very similar to some of these other ones. Next level beast mode. Animalistic, Indian, authentic style oud with that musk DNA. In terms of the occasions, special occasions, I don't want to say only, preferred. That's pretty much it. Ghali sometimes can go upwards of $250, and ghali means expensive, so it kind of makes a little bit of sense, but no, that's not why they named it. But this is one that if you shop for, you will find that it's a little bit overpriced. Check the links down in the description. You are getting something that's very authentic smelling as well. Moving on to the next one, Royal Tobacco. I mean, come on. You know, oh man, naturalistic smelling tobacco. Fenugreek, this takes me back home, man. This smells like royalty cigar shop with the best Omani or Yemeni bridal bakhur, man. Incense, spices, just so sexy, man. I love this stuff. Grown man vibes only. You have to have hair on your chest to rock this bad boy. And if you don't, and you rock it, then man, you're a real one, man, because that shit is real. Yes, it has an animalistic bite, and more than just that. It's got aromatic herbs, maybe even some kitchen style herb, but it smells amazing. I personally have never put my nose to something like that, and I will forever keep it in my collection. Performance all day, non-measurable basically. In terms of the occasions, this is special occasions, man. I wouldn't personally wear this to like dates or anything like that. I mean, knowing me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I would personally wear it to date, but it's a little bit harsher than something like that. I would wear it to like, you know, weddings, events, maybe family gatherings, family dinner, something where you just wanna, you know, come off like serious boss vibes. Moving on to the next one, this is called Oud Precious by Reine de Seba. This was perfumed by Olivier Cresp, and it's a beautiful oud saffron fragrance with what smells like authentic style Indian oud as well, but very approachable, very approachable. The fragrance in itself is relatively light while not sacrificing in terms of its projection and its performance. On clothing, I got solid 10 hours, and the projection, I could smell myself, but it was like wafts every time I'd turn around for like 4 to 5 hours. It wasn't anything that's going to be in your face, and for that reason, I feel like this is going to be one of the more opulent style performing fragrances that a lot of people in the West can get into relatively easy. This is a fragrance that shines around the whole tobacco, oud, and a lot of this foresty vibe or foresty nature, coming from a very direct use of dry but rich cypriol. It also has a couple of sweetened accords to it, but more on the natural side of things. There isn't anything that's going to remind you of any like dessert style sweetness, but more so because of how balsamic this one goes, and foresty, the sweetness in itself kind of brings it back base or alkaline, I should say. So it does have a pretty decent dose of Kapahu balsams at the top, giving it a little bit more of that balsamic nature and warmth. And as it starts to dry down, the oud starts to be a bit more prominent. You're gonna get more of like this naturalistic style tobacco. And as it starts to dry down, the leather starts to show up and kind of smoothen things out, really giving this one although having natural aspects to it, a refinement. For the most part, what I get a lot of is that dry foresty style cypriol, a little bit of that honey and leather combination. The leather, I have to emphasize, is it feels like it's used more of like an accord to kind of just help recreate the entire vision of the fragrance, ultimately being this oud, cypriol, and tobacco-based fragrance with a little bit of natural sweetness coming from honey. In terms of the performance, like I said, this is something that lasted 10 hours, and on skin it lasted for a solid 6.5, 7 hours. I could smell this giving me wafts throughout the entire day. It wasn't overbearing. It smelled like something that was expensive, as it would perform. In terms of the occasions, this is something where you want to leave a lasting impression fashion. You want to smell expensive. You're going to a meeting, but you kind of want to do something that gets a bit more of attention than just something mass appealing like, you know, a designer or something like that. This is the one to go with. You want to be present, you want to be heard, but you don't want to be offensive. This is the one. Different, unique, sexy as well. Last but not least, bottle number 9's Nomad. Underappreciated and underrated unisex fragrance. It does have some feminine aspects to it, but I had absolutely no problem rocking this. And I got compliments every single time that I wear this fragrance. What it basically is this oud rose and vanilla combination with fruits, except the fruits smell kind of like strawberry. There's pear, there's black currant, there's also some orris and violet. The orris and violet gives it more of like this buttery nature to it without it going in the gummy realm or side of things. This smells amazing. I genuinely think that this has to be one of my top oud rose combination. Coming from a Western house, I am impressed. There's a slight animalistic or oud quality to this one as well, giving it a little bit of an authenticity. However, a more approachable and easier animalistic or oud accord that you can get into. If you don't enjoy oud at all, then I wouldn't say that this is for you. But if you like dabbling into those territories, you like fruity, you like mass, I wouldn't really call this a mass appeal. You like vanillic woody, you need to check this one out. I personally love this. I give it a 10 out of 10 oud rose combination. Onto the performance for this one, I got about 8 to 9 hours out of this one. It's not a beastly projecting fragrance, but that's kind of how this one seems like it's designed to be. It's got buttery aspects, it's got vanillic aspects, woody aspects, and hints of floral. Soft, but extremely present as well. And like I stated with an earlier fragrance, it exudes just rich man vibes, straight up, or just rich, period, because women, you could easily rock this one as well. Don't let them tell you that it's either feminine or masculine, because I find it to be extremely unisex. And in terms of the occasions, whenever you want to get complimented and smell different, this smells different, man. It's got like the whole strawberry oud rose combination with woods and vanilla. Simple as that. I rocked it to the gym because, like I said, I have to test all my fragrances and that's my daily routine. And I got literally just at the gym 3 people asking me what it was. They've never smelled anything like it before. I have no reason to exaggerate. I'm not sponsored by this company or any of these companies on this list, believe it or not. And this is just really that good, at least for me. So I'm not gonna say that this is a beastly projecting or performing fragrance, but it did just enough for me. In terms of the projection, for 2 hours, it was solid, but I did find myself at around hour 4 wanting to respray it because the opening of this is just magical stuff. Doesn't take away from its validity or from the ranking. I give this one still a 10 out of 10. Performance, I wish was just a little bit better, but it gave me what I needed, and that's it. I managed to find this one on discounters. I was pretty lucky. It's not one that really goes on discounters too often, and would I buy it at retail? Honestly speaking, I had it on my list for a long time and I was considering buying it at retail. Whether or not you do is completely up to you, but these are 10 niche fragrances I'll always have in my collection. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and let me know out of which one of these is your favorite niche fragrances, or if you haven't tried any one of these and which one sounds most interesting to you. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.